Hi, my name is Gina Cunningham. In this short tutorial video, I will show you how to tie off the ends of your resistance bands to create stirrups. And it's the stirrups that you wear when flowing through yoga poses and yoga sequences while wearing resistance bands. So here's where we're headed. I'm gonna take a long resistance band that's already cut. I have a separate video that's part of this series that I encourage you to watch to learn how to cut the bands and to what length. So this band has already been cut and tied off. So this is where you're headed. A long resistance band with 2 stirrups at either end, or 2 loops. And then in the class, in your sequence, you'll wear the bands in different arrangements. So starting with 2 bands, 2 matching bands, because you'll want to have a matching set. I have 2 bands that I've cut to 6 feet in length. This is a little too long for me, a little too tall for me. This would be appropriate for someone who is about 6 feet tall. I'm making these bands for somebody else. You'll need a measuring tape. I like to have one that can just sit on the ground and hold the length of 11 inches, because you need 11 inches, you need to measure off 11 inches off either end of your bands. So I'm just marking it off. And right here, this is about 11 inches, and it's just a short tail for the band. You want to keep that place marked. And then I'm going to hold the folded end in my right hand. If you're left-handed, you might have to switch other hands. And then I'm going to take the rest of the band and wrap it around the back of my hand and then over my palm again. And then I'm going to pull that folded end toward my thumb, pull it forward, and then give it a gentle tug. And in that gentle tug, what will be revealed is you have a loop and a tiny tail on the other end. I encourage you that once you might take you 2 or 3 times to attempt these loops in order to find kind of the knot and the loop relationship that will allow you to have a band and a stirrup that you can put your hands through. So don't pull it too tight to start. You want to just sort of eyeball it. If you need to untie it, you can, but it's much easier to untie it if it's not been pulled to its end. So once I have this, it's pretty secure. I'm just gonna give it a little nudge, and that's it. I'll do this a couple more times so that just through repetition, and if you're tying along with me, you can follow along through similar examples described a little differently each time. So I'm starting with that 11-inch length, holding on to that. I'm marking that length and holding it in my dominant hand, my right hand, and hanging it down the hand. And then I'll pull the whole thing, the tail and the remainder of the band, around the back of my hand and then wrap it into my palm. Then I'm going to pull that folded edge back toward my wrist, send it underneath, and then just make sure I still can see that tail, and then just give it a little gentle tug so I can start to see the shape of the stirrup before pulling it tight. All right, and that feels about right to me. All right, so there we go. So now the band is shorter than what you started because you've got 22 inches of band wrapped into the loops. But this is what you end up with: 2 stirrups, 2 loops, 2 knots, and then the length of the band. And then this is what you'll be pushing and pulling against the whole length of the band, from stirrup to stirrup, as you wear the bands in your yoga flow practice. Give it a shot. Again, please don't pull too tight on the bands until you know that you've got it, you've got the right length. Then you'll pull them tight, and then your bands are ready to go. You want to do that again for the second band.